tutorials and I'm making tutorials for DayZ.
Hey, let's check our recording. We're recording. So, welcome back, and here we go. We're going to dive into the good stuff now, aren't we? So, you'll recognize the LODs and everything here from the tutorial. We've been getting the doors and the hood, wheel, just getting them in game, familiarizing ourselves with what is what. So that's our main LOD there. Like I said, we've attached our hoods and everything. Now let's make this Stratos work and start attaching all the stuff onto it. Get windows, get 4 views. Right, so we're not gonna just throw it in game because it'll just crash the game. It's really hard. There's a certain level and an amount of items that have got to be on this car and in this config before we can put it in game without crashing it, and we'll go through those. So what I'm going to do, we'll start with the wheels, then we're going to go on to the driver position and the crew position, but we'll just start nice and easy, and we'll get the 4 wheels on, we'll get a driver position, and I think at that point we'll get it in game, just have a swazz around with it, give it a whirlitzer. Okay, so this is our slot. We've been through that, how it defines in the Neva wheel here. So this is the slot now we're creating for our own. I'll leave those Neva wheels on so we can do some comparisons because if the Neva wheel attaches to our car, then so should ours if we've done it right. Okay, so hood. Now we're going to get to our car. Okay, so there we go. So I'll just start putting these in. We've got an edit one, so is there anything in that LOD of use? I'll just make them edit LODs for now. That's the LODs we've been using before, just to put things around. You know, test how it changes. Edit 3 LOD. No, we can delete, we don't need that one. Save that. Into our front one. Right, it's the front left wheel here. As we look from our driver's seat, it's front left. Yeah, look at our front view, it looks at front right, but we'll probably always talk about it from the perspective of being sat in the driver's seat. We're looking out to the front, and it's going to be our front left here. When we go into our slots, if I'm pronouncing that right, it's our front left Stratos wheel is nominated to be Stratos wheel 1_1 and wheel 11. Excuse me. And those names are significant in terms of making sure, I'll go back to that word, nomenclature, that we keep that process and structure alive throughout what we're doing. So we're going to find that proxy now, which is in here, and it's that Stratos wheel. And if we haven't already, which we have, just to remind myself, we've defined that proxy as wheel _1_1. Okay, so what we're going to do now just have a look, reference to that. Does it look alright? It come in a bit. That looks alright to me. For what we're doing, you can align yours even better. What I normally do is, that is normally all symmetrical. Doesn't look symmetrical to me. That would be there if it was, wouldn't it? I think. By doing that, it makes this job a bit easier now that we're gonna do new, paste that, Shift E, just add a minus to that one there. That should shift it over to there. It probably won't turn him around 180. Yep. Turn it 180 on the Y. Relative to pin, any good? Nope. Let's just turn it around. Just get the pin down here. I'm going to press R. Click on that little vertice there. Yep. Now we'll turn it 180 relative to the pin. That should be better now. Copy that, paste it back in the main LOD, save it whilst we're at that place. Now I've got that. Now what we're going to do is Control Z, go back to here. I'm going to change that to 2-1, 2 being front, sorry, 2 being right, 1 being front. So it's the 2-1, wheel 2-1. I'm going to copy it now, paste it in the main LOD, delete that and delete empty. Now when we paste it in there, I've got to be careful here, and I'll just check my tracks. Can you see here, it is the second wheel, so we want that proxy, which it has done automatically, is number 2, the ID, and that's correct. As long as it's, if you have any problems, you can go 1-1, 1-2, 2-1, 2-2. I've gone 1-1, 2-1. Now I'm going to go 1-2, 2-2. What's that mean? It means in reference to these 2-1, 1-1. See that? 1 and 2, left and right. And that side is front. So now we're going to go wheel 1, 2, which means rear, left. What you can do is copy both of those. Here, copy, paste them in here, then align them like so. We'll be about in the middle of this thing here, don't we, really, there? Just going off that line there. Something like that. And what we want to do then is change that to 1-2 and 2-2. You see that 2 there and that 2 there at the end means rear. That means rear left, and that means rear right. I know it sounds confusing, and it is. What we also need to do is just, if we paste them, it will do it probably automatically, but we'll just change the proxy numbers while we're here, so we're sure. And that's a 4. And if you're having a spare wheel, by all means do another and call it wheel 1. Well, this is a tutorial, so I'll do a spare at some point, but I can hear you all now. Just get it in game. No. should have done wheel 1 and then left it at that really, but there we go, we now have 4 wheels. How do you think about that? Or what do you think about that? Now how the hell do we get them turning? Well, I'm going to show you. Excuse me. I'm going to create a LOD and we're going to name it the memory LOD. Memory is where we put all our points, and these points tell the engine where things are start, finish, where they axis upon, where they pivot upon, be it a wheel, a door, an exhaust, fume, a steering wheel. They're all done in here unless we state in the model config that they are not they're not in the memory LOD. Okay, now I'm going to take a model config from the old. Do I have a better one here? Just trying to think about. Well, I think the Apocalypse car was the. I'll take it from the Beetle. So I'm going to take the Beetle config. They're all almost all the same, apart from a few anomalies, but again, it's the naming that counts. This could be either called model config or named after the same as the P3D. This is going to be our Stratos skeleton. I'll open it in Notepad++ for clear. Changed in that, but I'll go back to that in a moment. That much is for sure. Right, so we've got the Stratos skeleton. We put all that, which we will go through, and they're just references to the model here, what we've got going on, and it cross-references with the CPP here. Have we got animations? Animation sources in here yet? No, we haven't. So we've got a lot to get through, and I'll do it in stages, don't worry. That's something we'll be right back to this spot here and put the rest of our wheels in. So we've got so far is wheel 1 1. We're going to do 1 2, wheel 1 2, and it's rear left, and it's wheel 1 2. The ghost icon is the same. Now we'll do the right hand side, wheel 2 1, and it's the front. Always the case that we copy it to make it harder for ourselves. Wheel 2 1, 2 1. We've got wheel 2 1, wheel 2 1, wheel 2 1. And we'll just copy that. Wheel 2 2. Excuse me. So those slots, we went through them when we were doing the wheel and related it to how we put it on the Neva, but I'm going to do it in more detail here because it's pertaining to the actual car now. But we will reference that element, those 4 elements in the model itself here. We'll go through that. Trying to keep these videos to about 30 minutes ish, and I can upload them in segments, make it easier so you yourself can stop every, in regular periods. Right, we're going to want to make this wheel, well, these wheels turn and pivot with the steering, etc. Now in this game, as opposed to Armour, everything's separate. Each wheel has its own power source and turning source. It doesn't turn based on the wheel. I don't know why. We could set it up that way, no problem, but let's go with what we know from the text editor. Right, so if we look in the model config and we look at wheel 1.1 here, the damper is connected to the steering. The damper is the top of the hierarchy, and the steering is attached to that, and the wheel is attached to the steering. Now, what in our case is the damper? Have we got any spring? I don't know, but this is going to be our steering, and this is going to be our damper, along with those little bits there. Okay, so it's going to get quite complex, but I'm going to do that at the end. For now, we're just going to have this steering and damper here, and the wheel is the proxy, of course. Okay, what I'm going to do, click new there. I'm going to take that proxy here, which is the wheel proxy, and I'm going to use that as the source for some of the axis. If we look at our wheel 1.1, so our front left steering hub, if we want to steer, well, forget steering for now, sorry, we want the turn axis first. There, see how it's rotation here. Wheel front left is the source, and that source is actually from the vehicle wheel. So we're going to be inheriting from the vanilla cars, which car script class. We're going to copy this over to our own, and these animation sources are the one that is being referred to here. If we look at wheel front left, excuse me, here, that source is, I think that's in the engine. When I say the engine, I don't mean the car engine, I mean the game engine. It's either there, I don't think it's in data, but we shall have a look. DayZ data. Yeah, it's not in there. I'll look at the DayZ. Oh, can you core bin? It's engine source, I think. Yeah, it's just here. So that source referring to model. Excuse me. This wheel front left source is an engine source. I mean, if I just try and find that in CPP in DayZ, that'll do its thing. Yeah, it's only there. We could try and find it in the whole of P DayZ. It's just finding it in all my stuff, isn't it? That's all. Yep, so that source there is what is being referred to here. So wheel front left is driving that one wheel. The other wheel on the other side is being driven by wheel front right source. Obviously, makes sense, doesn't it? Front left, front right. So we have everything apart from this. We need that wheel axis in. If we didn't, I think if we press page up now, before I do that, let me just the model config won't work because we missed something out. We forgot to tell it what model it was for, didn't we? There. Stratos. So yeah, this must be the same name as the P3D, sorry. Just refresh Bulldozer again. When there is no axis, it will rotate, amazingly enough, at the center of the axis, of the geometrical center of the model of the wheel, which, because that model is so good, is in the center. However, we can't rely on that. So what we're going to do, we need to create wheel one axis. How do we do that? The best way is just copy that vertex there, copy it, create a new lot again, paste it there, copy that, paste it, lock these X, Y, so them two. Delete those two references and name those two vertices there, and that will always be at the dead center. I'll call this memory. Sorry about that, we've already got memory. So our wheel one at one axis now. Just delete that, go to our main car. So we are turning on that axis, and because we've set it up like that, you'll notice our disc isn't turning yet, but we will sort that out. Yep, there we go. Now, how do we know that what I've just done has changed anything, because it was already doing that? Well, maybe if we change that axis over here, and we go back to here, you'll see that immediately nothing has changed at all. I was talking rubbish. You're thinking, well, why is that? Well, let me show you. Wheel 1 axis there. You'll notice in here it doesn't tell it where that axis is. It is said that it's assumed by default without that memory input to assume that it is always true. It's not. When we start that now, go back to there. Bulldozer is not updating. Because now that shows you when you're troubleshooting, always check your syntax. What's happened there is I've misnamed that, so it's gone back to where it was originally, and it's animating to the center of the geometry of the wheel model. Okay, so it didn't recognize that. It thought, right, I can't find it, I'm just going to go back to animating it from the center of the object. But now we've named our axis over here. I'll give you a 3 months supply of tutorials if it doesn't turn on that new axis. Let's see, am I going to cut that bit out? No, I wouldn't do that. 1 2 3 4 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 15 16 17 18 19 20 21. There you go. See, I'm trying to prove a point and learning you at the same time, teaching you. See, so now it's pivoting on that axis, so if we want it, could be up there if we wanted it, doesn't matter. Right, so let's put that nonsense back. Okay, so now we want to steer it as well, and the steering axis was via the steering hub, which is turn front left, and the selection is wheel 1 steering. Now what I'm going to try and do here is, like I said, I'm going to define the disk as wheel 1 as well as the proxy. I'll select all. I'm going to right click wheel 1 redefine, save. What does that do? That makes sure the disk turns as well as the wheel, but not the calipers, hopefully. Yeah. you see that? See how the disc is turning now? Okay, now what we now need to do is select the calipers. We need to define them as the steering, which is this. Steering. Go on here, new, whilst we've got it highlighted. Paste wheel 1 steering. So now that's that. Now if the model config's set up already, they should all pivot when we turn the wheel. Turn front left, wheel front left. Oh, turn front left here, wheel 1 steering axis. So where we're going to find that from is, once again, we're going to use that proxy. There again, copy it, create a new LOD just to edit with. I'm going to delete that one and use these two as a steering axis. Now for now we're going to have this center of the wheel as the pivot for the turning, not the center of that. If we're wrong, we'll move that over to there and we'll use that. But for now we're just going to we're going to delete that entry there. We'll find the name of the axis there. Going to get it right this time. Rename that steering axis. Copy that, paste it in the memory. Go back to LOD 1. See. Now, the reason that's dropped, don't worry about it, because the damper also uses that axis. You see, don't worry about that. Now we're turning on that axis. Now hopefully the disc is turning with it. It is. Now what really needs to happen is the turn wants to be that middle part there, doesn't it? Wants to pivot from that. You see that angled bar there? Forgot what the mechanical name would be for it. You can see it there. First we need to call find out. I want to select that and that. Do believe. All I'm going to do is unselect some of that and that, and select that and that. I'm going to call that our damper. Wheel 1 damper. Click new. Wheel 1 damper. Save. Just refresh the refresh the viewer. Just reset the damper. Alright, now you can see how it's starting down there. That is because offset 0 is minus 0.6. Well, it should just start at 0. Offset 1, the amount it can go up and down, 0.6, but if we get any anomalies in game, we'll come back to that offset 0. Like if the wheels are up in the air when the game starts, then we'll just drop it a tad, maybe 0.1 or 0.01, who knows. We change that and save it. Back in the game. So yeah, it starts too high now. Let's just refresh that viewer. Just gonna have a drink, excuse me. When we're starting now, we're nice and flat. Now I'm not going to go into any more detail on this model, but you get the gist there of how we are setting different elements of the model to core. Now, why is all that moving? You must be asking yourself, you know, why is all that moving when what's making it do that? Well, it's the skeleton. What it is that there. So what that says, anything the damper does, the steering will do, and everything the steering do, the wheel will do. Okay. Now, what it doesn't say is anything the wheel does, the damper and the steering will do. You notice when we turn that wheel round, the damper and everything doesn't go around, neither do the calipers. You see? Yeah, the red part isn't turning, but the disc is. Okay, and that's the same for every wheel. And that's how we do that. So we did our slots. That's more about when we're in game and we attach, unattach, etc. We'll have to make some scripts that tell us all about this. You know, we've already shown how we handle the wheel, etc. So we're way ahead of the game on that. We just got some things to do about in the vehicle itself. So yeah, so that's that wheel. We're going to do the rest of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I am going to make a video of me doing it just to show you me doing it. I'm not going to go into all the detail because it's the same as this. You should just be able to crack on now and do your own, or you can watch me do it. But like I say, I'll talk a little bit, but it's not going to be on instructional how to do the other wheels because it's exactly the same. But you can watch me do it in the next part. Thank you and well done so far, and thank you very much for your patronage. And it's very cheap and I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Bye bye for now.